all elite. What? Because I can't even call it wrestling anymore. Look at this clown. Look at this clown.
You were there, Tommy.
Dude, look. I called him a pencil neck. Look, his head and hair looks like an eraser. He literally looks like a pencil. Hey, Tony, if your neck hurts that bad, why are you turning your head, you jackass? Oh my God.
I can cut a promo, baby. I can sit right there if you want a Dusty Rhodes promo. It's right, Daddy. I've wined and dined with kings and queens. I feasted on alley and pork and beans, Daddy, if you will. I can do an ultimate.
Ric Flair.
A little bit of flair. Look at that, man.
10 pounds of gold, baby.
Look at that belt, bro. Look at that robe, more importantly. Now that's a robe.
Yeah. Dave LaGreca, that is a robe.
Yes.
Not that crap that you have on. That
Fuck
is
Dave
a
LaGreca.
robe. Thank you. Tonight, you know what that means.
Hogan, listen up!
Of the Yankee Rebel Wrestlecast. I'm Yankee Tommy. This is Rebel Brian. Brian, how are you doing this fine day?
I am great. What a time to be a wrestling fan.
Abso-fucking-lutely, dude. So much has happened in the past week, and I feel like it's getting redundant, but I don't get tired of saying it. Because day in, day out, things are changing.
In the words of Kevin Gates, I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
Oh, man. Let's just jump right into it, shall we?
What a time, man. Just, we've got so much to talk about. We're going to jump right into Money in the Bank. I actually enjoyed this show a lot. Really enjoyed it. And even though Drew McIntyre got screwed, I believe that this is going to set up one of the greatest rivalries that we've seen in the last couple years, other than Roman and Cody, of course. But Drew got screwed.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre got certifiably screwed, but, I mean, let's face it, he did deserve it. Months and months when Punk was on the shelf, just consistently taunting him. And then, come on, when you take the man's personal bracelet with his dog and his wife on it and flaunt it around TV after you beat the hell out of him, I mean, what do you honestly expect? Do you think he's just there and just let you get away with being champion? No. He's going to make your life a living hell and then some. So, I mean, I am not surprised. I did call interference in the Money in the Bank match, but, however, it did happen when he cashed in. So, I mean, the fact that people complain that McIntyre lost it so soon and it was a waste, I don't think it was a waste. Because, let's face it, Gunther is going to have a long title reign when he inevitably wins at SummerSlam. Cody, I don't think is going to lose it in the near future. So, I don't think Hunter wants to be pigeonholed again into having the Money in the Bank held till the 9th hour, to have to cash something in. It wasn't in the cards, so let's use it for something good to progress something further. And I got, honestly, no problems with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And plus, it's setting up a great rivalry with him and CM Punk. And it's just going to be fun to watch what these guys are going to do each other between now and SummerSlam. And I'm excited about it. It's kind of like old CM Punk coming back, and he's coming out for vengeance, which has just been great. But I do, which we're going to talk a little bit about it later, but the ending to that match was a little botchy. So, but we'll talk about that just a little bit later.
Talk about some more botches, because there wasn't. There was a few.
Yeah, it just wasn't. But let's talk about the the Tiffy in the room, and that is Tiffany Stratton winning the women's Money in the Bank. I truly believe this is her start at Stardom.
Yeah, I mean, she had her big coming out party. I believe it was at the Women's Elimination Chamber when we thought she probably could have won that match, and it ended up being Becky Lynch, and we see how well that went. Yeah, this is her time, and I think she'll wait on it. I think it's going to be probably at least half a year,
Yeah,
something to that effect. I think she'll wait a little bit, and then she'll cash in when she's ready because she doesn't seem rushed at all by it, and nor should she. So she'll pick her spot, and she'll eventually take whoever is, if it's still Bailey or whoever at the time. But it'll be well worth it, and I mean she's already so over.
yeah. It's going to be on Tiffy time.
Literally. But I mean, just talking about the Money in the Bank matches in general, they were great matches from
Yes.
start to finish. I think the women's one was better than the men's, in my personal opinion, but they both were
Just
classics.
the Io Sky Zoe Stark spot
Oh,
blew me away. And the way that Zoe sold it was just phenomenal.
oh. I mean, each match had their own spots, and a lot of them just falling on ladders, but just the impact, just hearing that their bodies crash into that ladder. And then it was,
Let's give a round of applause for Andrade in the man's match. He just absolutely stole the show when it come to high spots, and just his ring awareness has gotten so much better. And it just cracks me up because here this guy's got all that talent and AEW never used it.
no, and I mean, Andrade is the speed champion, so I guess he is being used, but
Yeah.
he's not being used to what I believe we both think that he could be used to. Like, you know, I don't watch Speed. I don't know if you do.
I do.
I've never honestly watched a single episode of Speed. But I know he is the Speed champion. Um, so that's, I guess, something. But he's not really on TV as much as I'd like him to be. Um, I mean, he has matches here and there, but nothing really of substance. Like, he hasn't really had a storyline since the LWO tried to get him and Legado. I mean, there really hasn't been much story for him. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see coming off of Money in the Bank if they start to give him anything more because he's great in the ring. It's just not the best talker.
So check this out though. Do we think with Jey Uso not winning the Money in the Bank that it's just solidifying that he's set for the bloodline?
Yeah, I think the Money in the Bank, at least the men's, told you a lot of things. Told you one, the Wyatts are going to be coming for Gable.
Yeah.
Uso's going to be joining the Bloodline feud here soon. I mean, LA Knight confirmed tonight he's coming after Logan Paul for the U.S. title. Gosh, I mean, Andrade, he's still to be the Speed champion. He'll be doing his thing, and McIntyre and Punk.
Yeah.
So it it did what it intended to do. It gave clarity towards the future. So at least from the men's perspective, the way I look at it, it gave you a clear sense of where things are going and how they're going to progress, and kind of just a wait and see because all these are still brewing storylines and they're still, I mean, in their early developments.
So let's talk main event. Let's talk about Orton, Owens, and Cody versus the Bloodline. Two things that I got out of that match. First and foremost is that it solidified the new Bloodline's power at this point. Also, it's solidifying an Orton Cody rivalry.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that to get this bloodline story over when Roman does come back, the new bloodline has to have a power play, and now they've got under their belt they defeated three of the greatest wrestlers so far, today, and that being Orton, Owens, and Cody. And Solo pinned Cody, which was interesting.
Yeah, because contrary to Power Relief, you don't let the world champion get pinned. That just doesn't happen. So the fact they went with that angle and let Cody take the pin, like to me, it just shows me, hey, they have faith in Solo. They have faith in this new bloodline that they're gonna give him the blessing. And the fact that Cody would take that pin, I I think is just props to them. And on the Cody and Orton front, I have a prediction that I talked about with my boss the other day because he's a wrestling fan. And I want to kind of get your opinion on it
Okay.
because it would take place at SummerSlam, but essentially Cody Rhodes would defeat Solo Sikoa with help from Orton. From Orton and Kevin Owens, because you know as well as I do, this thing ain't really over with until it's over with. Um, and then after that match, you see them celebrating in the ring, and then Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere on Cody Rhodes.
I would
And,
like to see it.
and then you see Kevin Owens like, what the fuck? What just
Yeah.
happened? And then RKO to Kevin Owens. And then just have him hold the belt and walk away.
Well,
Because
we liked heel Orton better than we liked face
well,
Orton.
Randy Orton should have never stopped being a heel. He's one of the best heels they've ever had. 2009 Orton was his best year ever. When he's punt kicking people and just RKO and Stephanie and all this other shit he was doing, man. He does his best work as a heel.
Absolutely.
And you've been seeing pictures online of him in the background just staring at Cody, staring at the title, kind of like, okay, all right, I'll be coming for that soon.
He's got to get to the point where he's up there with Cena and Flair.
Because he's what, 14?
14.
14 right now. So he get his 15th and because that's a story on a story. Randy brought him into Legacy with DiBiase Jr.
Yep.
He'd been a mentor. They have that story already built in.
Yes, they do.
So it's like writes itself. And then that gives time, if you're not going to have Roman come back yet, that, you know.
You got a worthy opponent for Cody finally.
Correct. And you have a story that makes sense. Right? So that's just one thing that we kind of talked about and thought. And I thought it honestly wasn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
If they were to go that way. But not to get too off track.
I want to talk about Raw.
We'll just leave that picture up there because we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, absolutely.
I just gotta say that Braun Breaker better be Intercontinental Champion when SummerSlam closes. Is all I got to say.
I don't understand why on a big stage like that you don't give him the belt. It doesn't make Sammy any more legit and relevant. It's yes, you beat Braun Breaker, but what is that? How does that put a notch in his belt?
I don't know. It 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 didn't make sense that. It took one haluva kick. Really? Like they didn't even make it so. Hey, it was 2, 3, maybe 4 to knock him down. No, it was just one.
Yeah.
It's like you built this man up to really knock him down a peg. To now, oh yeah, on Raw he's like going Super Saiyan, and on the pay per view he's like a little puppy. It doesn't make sense to me that that's the way you want to go with it. But
I mean, I get it. You're in your home country, blah blah blah, but they didn't let anybody really win when it was in Scotland. So
I mean, yeah, just the women's tag champs. Like Drew
yeah,
didn't win, Piper didn't win, and generally speaking, WWE's been pretty good about the hometown person really not winning in the high
yeah.
stakes. Normally, where they falter. So
How much more do you have to build Braun Breaker? I mean, he's already built.
I mean,
His
we said the same about LA Knight though.
yeah,
Like how often? I mean, and Jey Uso. How often are you going to build these guys up just to have them sit there and spin?
yeah,
So like
yeah. I just don't
some point,
understand it.
at some point they just got to learn. Like, hey, these people, they want this.
Yeah,
And I mean, like, not to get into ratings, but I mean, you're doing in the 1.5 million to 2 million range on a weekly basis. And it's not like that they're doing a bad job, but just these little things can make a world of difference. And
and get it though. There are a lot of marks out there that like Sammy because they either love the good guy or they watched him in ROH as El Generico and all that. But Sammy is so stale to me right now.
hey, stale as a cracker. But come on, like I mean, we've had the same conversation with Moxley. To
Yeah,
me, just as stale. Like it's the same regurgitated thing, which you know people say, oh well, that was Stone Cold's thing. Yeah, but Stone Cold added layers to it.
yes,
Stone Cold, it was the same premise, but he attacked it so many different ways that kept you wondering, like, what's he gonna do next? Sami Zayn, John Moxley, it's the same thing every single week.
yeah.
Nothing new.
Sammy just comes out looking like he needs a shower.
Shower and a shave. I mean, he's one hat away from looking like Castro again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh.
But but then we saw Taylor snuck into Adam Pearce's office. We saw him just sitting there waiting for him. So
Yeah,
I wonder how that meeting went.
yeah. Raw was probably one of the best episodes I've watched in quite a while.
It was. It definitely was because you know you saw Money in the Bank when the Judgment Day had their segment before Priest went out. You saw Finn Balor. He's cooking something up.
Yeah,
Definitely cooking something up, and I can see Finn Balor getting involved in the finish of Priest and Gunther to then start that implosion of the Judgment Day.
it's the
Because,
only scenario I see of Priest having a rivalry after he gets beat.
right, because other than that, it's like, where do you go? It's like, now's the time. Strike while the iron's hot. Mommy's back. She's mad at Dom. Custody of Dom better happen, or I'm gonna scream. You got Finn Balor, who's clearly pissed off that Damian Priest is just telling everybody what to do. Because they were all equals, but now that I'm world champion, now I'm the leader, and I'm telling y'all. No,
Exactly.
Finn Balor don't take orders from nobody. So, I can definitely see something like that happening because you know as well as I do that Finn Balor as a heel is must see television. His
Yes.
second NXT run was some of his best work.
Yeah.
So bring back the Prince. Bring it back.
So at the end of Raw, we saw Dominic on top of Liv, and they touch faces and they're talking to each other a little bit, and then Mommy's music hits.
They touched more than faces, Brian.
Yeah, they did. they're close to bumping monkeys, and so I love this because this is like, okay, we have on one side we got Chad Gable and the White Six, and then we have a love story between Liv, Dominic, and Rhea. And as you can see in the picture, if you're watching us live, Mommy's pissed. She is super pissed.
Oh.
So I mean, this is going to be a great story, and I don't see this story ending anytime soon.
No, 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 because Rhea's got to right all the wrongs that Liv has caused, and you know she's coming for her world title back.
Yeah.
So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So do we
And
help? Do we see Dominic in the end helping Liv retain her title?
I think so. I think so. But before that can happen, we got to have our ladder match.
Yeah.
We got to have Dom in his shark cage, and we gotta just like see them try to knock him down like a pinata. Oh man.
Oh god, but Raw was great. I can't express enough how great Raw was, and I hope we continue to see Raw be this good.
I just want to say one thing before we move on to our next
Yeah.
topic, which is John Cena's retirement announcement. Did it bother you at all that all of a sudden, Damian Priest makes a stipulation to Seth that, hey, if you lose, you can't come for my title as long as I'm champion. But now Damian Priest wants to feel bad for Seth Rollins, so now he revoked. Like, what?
Yeah, that segment made no sense to me.
It didn't. It made no sense. It literally. So Seth was mad at Punk, which is justifiably so, because he was, a casualty of war, essentially.
Yeah.
And, Punk's like, hey, man, I didn't mean to hurt you or cause you any harm, but this man's been messing with me for how long? Like, he's been in my business. Like, and then, you kind of start hinting at something with them might happen. And then now all of a sudden, you kind of null and void that whole segment by Priest saying, you know what? I'm going to take away the gentleman's agreement because I don't think it was fair. Like, fuck fair. You lost, bro. Get to the back of the line.
Yeah.
This is why Priest ain't going to last long as champion. It's
no.
Too nice.
And as the quote unquote leader of the Judgment Day, how do you even symbolize the fact that you're going to give a guy a shot now when you've told him, our stipulation, you're not going to have another title shot, but man, I feel bad for you because the Judgment Day feels bad for you, and we're just going to give you another option and another way of getting the title back because we're good guys. The Judgment Day's not good guys.
No, I mean, I really don't know what they are, but they're not good guys. It just didn't make sense to me, that whole segment.
No. Screw respect.
Right, like, hey, I gave you a match that honestly you didn't really deserve, but hey, I gave it to you. Shit happens. It's WWE. I'm sorry. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and it kind of softens even more Damian Priest's title reign.
Well, I mean, it's gonna come to a nice hard conclusion after Gunther smacks the ever loving shit out of him.
Yes, absolutely, and I can't wait.
Yep. But speaking of can't wait, John Cena. I'm not gonna say he's the GOAT, but one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
announced at the end of 2025 he is retiring from in-ring competition. And most importantly, retiring the jorts.
The Jorts retiring. I hope they put him in the Hall of Fame.
They they should. He should. I mean, after the match, he should, as he's changing, just hand him over. Hand him over so he can be eventually, whenever they make a physical WWE Hall of Fame, you can actually go to. Which is why I think they're doing the hidden treasures stuff to get a lot of that stuff. But
Well,
the fact that he announced it then kind of surprised me because I just kind of figured he'd kind of just eventually just ride off into the sunset and that would just kind of be it. But the fact that he's taking almost like a Kobe Bryant farewell tour, I think is kind of cool because you don't normally see that in the wrestling business. It's normally, hey,
yeah.
I'm done, but it's actually kind of cool. It gives you something to kind of look forward to and be like, hey, this is his last bing, bing, bing. There's so many milestones to hit.
Well, he's getting a lot of slack from certain fans about him doing a farewell tour, but we have to understand Sting did the same thing in AEW.
Literally a few months ago.
So I think it's just another way for people to see Cena if they've never seen him before. I've seen him so many times, it's ridiculous in the ring, but it gives people that nostalgia again before he goes off into the sunset.
Right. And I mean, like you said, for generations who haven't had a chance to see him that, got in the business, 5 years ago, it gives them, hey, you have a whole calendar year. I'm letting you know now that you can come to me. And you think ticket sales won't be through the roof?
Oh, yeah.
25 prices will be up. Everything is going to be expensive as hell. And I'm interested to see how they play this out.
And it's sad he's still got the ugly shirts though.
I know he's always had them, and I need to watch my words because Alex is currently home, and I know she doesn't want to yell while we're streaming, but still, I live with her, so I need to be nice.
Yeah, she said he is pure gold in chat.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes.
And I think he's got a few good matches left in him. I mean, yeah, he doesn't look as big as he did back when he was working full time. But
yeah, I mean, he's not gonna have the quantity of great matches, but I feel like if they just have him wrestle at the pay-per-views or once on a blue moon just to keep fresh, I think it'll be fine. He's not going to be wrestling full-time schedule. I can guarantee.
Yeah. I do like the fact that CM Punk said he'd like to go with him one more time.
That would be amazing. I mean, two you have to have is Punk and Orton.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Edge, but he's currently preoccupied in AEW because it's another one of Cena's greatest rivals.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kurt Angle, but Kurt can't wrestle anymore. His body's too beat up. I would have loved to see. I mean, I would have loved to see that when Kurt was retiring.
Yeah.
That match, but I mean, Punk and Orton have got to be ones we have down. And whatever else they have, whether they have like Braun Breaker or somebody new, I feel like they gotta have some new stuff. But
yeah,
oh gosh, Milo's gotta see him once, which means I gotta see him another time. Which I'm fine. I've seen Cena several times. I mean, I want to say my first match I remember seeing him in that I actually got to go was, I think it was Raw, and he was in a steel cage match, and I can't remember who he was wrestling against, but it was like the early 2010s was the first time I actually got to go to an event, and he was there and he wrestled.
I saw him in Backlash 2006 taking on Triple H and Edge for the title. And then I did see him and Big Show and Steel Cage as well, which was not a bad match.
No, no. I mean, Cena, as we like to, say he's like the five moves of doom, like Hogan. But I mean, then he has matches with AJ Styles that are instant classics. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I wish we had more of that. But I mean, it's fine. I think it'll be a good year. And 2025 is, I mean, it's only getting better. And seeing him on Netflix will be really interesting.
I hope we get Chain Gang Cena back.
I mean, while I would love to see the Doctor of Thugonomics back, at the press conference, I'm pretty sure he said he's not going to be rapping anymore,
Ah,
which is annoying because Eminem is older than him, and he just dropped his latest album today.
which is so awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it's fire. Did you listen to it from start to finish?
I did, and he's going to get canceled.
I mean, if he hasn't got canceled yet, I don't think the man's cancelable. I mean, I don't think he's going to care if you cancel him.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants you to cancel him. That's what he cancel him. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's a great album. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it
Definitely
on whatever
wrong.
platform you listen to your music. So,
But yeah, the fact that he's saying, no, I'm too old for that, and yet Eminem's dropping classic after classic at his age, like, what do you mean? But whatever. I digress. I just wanted the doctor.
so let's go back to CM Punk and Drew McIntyre for a second. Do we think this rivalry could go down as one of the best of the 2020s?
I think so. I mean, you got the compelling long term storytelling aspect of it. I mean, this started last year, little leading up to the Rumble, and well, he came back at Survivor Series,
Yeah,
so it was shortly after that, and it's still going strong. So, I mean, I don't see this ending anytime soon. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the way they both just hate each other, and the fact that they're going so much as to like suspend Drew and have literally Drew go back to being a psychopath again, and Punk's just cheesing in the background at people. Like Punk is starting to stir shit up again,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I've
I
been
think he's
waiting
bringing a
for
little
it,
bit of that AEW flair with him.
and I'm fine with it because it's controlled chaos versus just chaos.
Yeah,
And I mean, I think coming out of this, I think it's only gonna build Punk and Drew and make them even bigger stars. So
yeah.
whenever it ends, all I know is at the end of it, they're both going to be bigger stars, bigger than they already were.
I'll agree with that. And CM Punk coming back, he needed a rivalry that was going to be legitimate. And anytime you can face Drew McIntyre in that type of atmosphere, you got a good rivalry on your hand.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let's jump to AEW.
Oh God help us. Which I have to retract a something from last week.
Oh,
Yeah, I've the Forbidden Door match was not the finals of the Owen Hart Classic or whatever it is. Uh, it actually went down between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson, but I did prophesy and said that Bryan Danielson would win it and would go on to face Swerve Strickland.
good.
So I at least got that much right. So I have to retort my last week comments.
Right. And, here at YRW, if we do make a mistake, if we do say something wrong, like I did earlier with the whole Punk and McIntyre thing, like, if we're wrong, we're wrong, and we will admit it.
Yeah, so I'm
Right.
retorting that. But AEW's kind of got a few rivalries that are fun to look at. Of course, we see Tony Storm and Mariah May finally getting that match.
Which
Yeah, I know.
I I just gotta say that I thought I was watching professional wrestling and not watching a horror film. Because did you see how many times she took her shoe and just bashed the end of it in her head?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, it just got too cringy for me. Like,
AEW got to bleed. Remember that.
I know. It should be AB Wrestle, ABW, All Bleed Wrestling. And I just, blood is one thing. Having the turn, no arguments there. But, like, at some point, can we kind of contain that a little bit and not make it look like I'm seeing Eddie Guerrero and JBL and that?
Oh my
Like,
God. It's
can we just cap the blood to just like, hey, you want to make her bleed? Okay, let's not drive the shoe into her skull.
yeah. And
Oh,
does Mariah May have a chance of winning the world title?
yeah, because I think the way Tony's character is going to respond is just distraught. It's just she can't believe that her pupil, Pride and Joy, would turn on her, and I don't think she's going to be able to mentally recover enough to retain her title. So I could see Mariah May taking it at the first crack she gets.
Yeah. Which I think that match has been called for All In already.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and make a statement. We'll see. We'll come back to this and see if I'm right. But Bryan Danielson will finally become world champion.
Yep. Yep. I have that written down here that I think it's Danielson's time. It's been 10 years since he held his last world title. So yeah, he's a little overdue.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I just somebody has to dethrone Swerve.
oh God. If I have to see one more week of him walk out with that belt and that dipshit do that dumbass dance, I, I'm gonna drive to AEW and allegedly have some words for people.
Allegedly. I like that. I like
Alleg-
that.
yep. Yeah, because
But
like I don't outright threaten anybody.
yeah.
I just allegedly might have words.
Do you think that Swerve's title reign has gotten really, really stale?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Osprey was their best attempt at giving him a story.
Yes.
And honestly, so I mean, okay, so he's had two like mini stories. He had the one with Joe, which I thought Joe should have thrown him. I really thought Christian. I mean, Joe, Christian, and now I mean Osprey should have too. You're getting the fourth guy who honestly should have legitimately beat Swerve Strickland. And if Bryan Danielson doesn't beat Swerve Strickland, then I have no hope for AEW.
No.
Because your world champion is not a draw. He's not the one that, I mean, not that they can sell out their arenas they go to anyway, but I mean he's not selling out arenas. He's not selling merch out the wazoo. It's like that's what your guy is supposed to do. Supposed to carry your company. And your international champion and some of the and MJF, who's not even a champion, are the ones that are carrying your show.
Yeah.
And you're kind of an afterthought.
Which I feel like that MJF is really kind of just there right now. I mean, yeah, he's still doing great things, but I'm like, when are we going to put a belt back on MJF?
Well, maybe next week. I mean,
Maybe.
because him and Osprey for the international title next week.
Yeah.
I thought their segment was probably one of the best of the night. It was nice to see Osprey have a chance to respond, pretty much uninterrupted. And then Max just doing Maxwell things,
Yeah.
sitting in his chair, drinking a glass of okay wine, and then just delivering another great promo. Like nothing he said is historically wrong because Will Ospreay, you can call him a flippy guy like MJF did, a flippy guy. Who was another flippy guy who came before him? Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Who was another flippy guy? Brian Danielson. Like those kind of guys. He's like, y'all are a dime a dozen, which he's not wrong nowadays. He's really not wrong. But guys like MJF don't grow on trees.
No.
So like he's like, I don't have to do all the shit you feel like you have to do, and I'm still over. I'm still better than you, and you know it.
I feel like that there has to be a title change in that match because you've got to have a title on MJF for AEW to be more relevant of what they're trying to do. You've got to have titles on your top people to, as Tony Schiavone would say, to put asses in seats.
I mean, if you ask Kevin Nash, pretty much everyone in AEW has a belt because they have about 20 of them. So the odds of you having, the odds of you being a champion are pretty damn good. Because I was listening to a interview today, and he was talking about how, you watch AEW and Moxley walks out, he has a belt, and then at the time like you see with like Tony Storm, she has a belt. The Acclaimed, they have belts. This other tag team, they have belts. Like everyone's coming out as a belt, and he's like, "What happened to like the belts meaning something? Like, not everyone needs a belt or can have it at one time." So, I get having belts for a certain purpose, but do we really need two men's mid card titles? Do we need a continental and an international title? No. Actually, no. Three. You got the TNT title. You got three
Yeah.
men mid card titles. Why?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not like Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision have separate rosters where that would actually make sense. I mean, you're essentially putting the cart before the horse if that's your plan. But even then, you actually have to have stories for that, and you have to actually be able to put asses in seats for people to
Yeah.
want to come to all those shows.
Which, according to what I saw today, they said they've sold 45,000 tickets for All In.
And that's because it's at Wembley Stadium and the English crowd likes to see wrestling. So,
Yeah.
of course, you're going to be able to sell that out, but it'll be one of their very few sellouts.
Yeah, I just hope that they make the right decisions and start a new era. That is what AEW's got to do to start boosting their numbers. They've got to have a new era and not go with this regular mumbo jumbo stuff on Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and just the same monotonous thing over and over and over again.
Well, right, because you look at Mercedes Moné. I don't think she's a draw. You saw her again this week. She was in high heels and is running away from Britt Baker in high heels.
Yeah.
First off, take the shoes off and run if you're going to run. Don't look like an asshole and just try to run away in high heels. And two, like, I mean, like, what has she really done for AEW since she's been there?
It's the name. It's the name draw.
But even her name, like, sure, she's well known. I wouldn't say she's popular. She's a well known, established name. But she just has a sense of entitlement to me that I don't care for at all. It's like she's almost like a nepo title holder.
Yeah.
Just
I get
because,
that.
so it just I don't really care for that. And until they can kind of right this ship and just the whole elite angle. I mean, half the show I can't watch without just cringing and shaking my head. Like, what is this
Yeah,
shit?
yeah,
Like,
and which here in my city we've got Dynamite coming in September, and I'm gonna take Bearded probably with me, and D will go with me because of Orange Cassidy, and I want him to experience his first AEW show and see what he thinks.
I mean, you'll definitely get hours and hours of wrestling. That's for sure. Because I've been to a few, and you get a lot of that. Um, I just hope that the card is good for you when you go,
Yeah,
because that'll be getting towards all out territory, right? That'll be right around
yeah,
then.
yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Uh, yeah, I just wish there was more like legitimate storytelling that actually made sense. Like, you know, you have the elite running around, and like, last point before we jump to our next topic, you have AEW, who, signs everyone under the sun. Like, you got Okada, you got Osprey,
Hmm.
you still have technically Kenny Omega, even though he's hurt. You got the Jacksons, you signed Swerve, you signed Adam Copeland, you got all these guys, but yet from a rating standpoint, they're doing absolute dog shit. Like, they're
Yeah,
barely over, on average, like 600,000 viewers. Like, they haven't seen above 800,000 viewership since April 10th. Over 2 months, they've been either in the mid 700s or barely getting to 600. And
do
it's
you
just
think
going.
that'll change if they do sign this Warner Brothers contract?
I don't know. It just means more money in their pocket.
It would put them on Max at that point.
I mean, time will tell. It might help them, but also better matchmaking and better storylines might actually help too. Because, I mean, like, how many times do you see like the match they had with Ishii and the other three guys? That was just kind of like a throw together match. Like, had no build up, no meaning, no nothing. And it's just like, okay, like,
Yeah,
why these guys? Like, why do they deserve to be in this match? I just, it just, a lot of things don't make sense. But what does make sense is Mr. All Ego Ethan Page, finally a champion.
yes,
If you saw NXT Heatwave, it was a great show.
yes,
Start to finish, it was great. It ended with one of the most creative finishes I've seen in a while. The trick
agreed.
shot hit on Ethan Page, and he literally fell into the NXT Championship.
Yeah,
And Sean Spears inadvertently screwed himself and Trick
yes, he did.
out of being titled. That match couldn't have went any better.
No way, and it he just falls on top and got the 1, 2, 3, and like you said, Sean Spears kind of screwing himself. Which if I'm Sean Spears, I'm like, the chair master himself needs to get a title shot and talk about a banger match. Spears versus Page would be a banger.
They would. I mean, it's sad because Sean Spears is one of those. He's talented in the ring, but there's just something missing that always keeps him from actually winning a title. It's like he's just one of those great workers. You
Yeah,
know, every company needs him, but it's like he gets so close to gold and then just pushes people over.
I find it funny though when he comes out, people still doing the perfect 10 every time he comes out. It cracks me up because I'm like, but good, great matches. I really enjoyed this pay per view. it just had great matches from start to finish, and just applaud Shawn Michaels for putting together a good pay-per-view with a good crowd, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was a big crowd for an NXT pay-per-view.
Yeah, and one thing I gotta say, and I don't want to bring Dave Meltzer into our show, but I have
Oh,
to.
sweet Jesus.
I I have to address this prick because I don't know if you heard, but there was a match between Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka.
Yeah, which was a good match.
Yeah, and one would think, given the style, a lot more aerial, we'll call it like gymnastics, just a lot of athleticism. Okay, which is normally what Dave Meltzer loves because you've seen the flip fest between Omega and Osprey and
Yeah.
Ibushi and all these guys. But yet Dave Meltzer calls it a glorified gymnastics match, and why was it on the card, and was shitting all over it. But yet, conveniently enough, if it's like AEW or if it's New Japan, that's like a 6-star match.
Yeah.
But yet he says he's not biased.
He's got a grudge against WWE, and I'm not sure why.
I've never heard of them doing anything to him. I mean, I don't know really how he's lasted this long. It boggles my mind. Just like Dave LaGreca, but that's a whole nother story. I don't want to get you going.
Jesus, let's not put that name out.
God. But it just how are you so blatantly hypocritical? And like I don't care about star ratings at all. Like I just care about what my eyes tell me, what the story tells me.
Yeah.
And that was a great match. It was very athletic. Both women have gymnastics backgrounds, so you can expect that in that match.
Good story build up.
Right, but then you're gonna shit on it because what? It's a WWE product. I bet you if two AEW women put on a match like that, you'd give it a 5-star, in your sleep. So
yeah,
and
both of those ladies will be on the main roster eventually.
Yeah, and it just bothered me, and not for nothing. Kalani Jordan hasn't been wrestling that long at all.
No,
I want to say she's under like 3 years of experience wrestling, and she's already that good in the ring. So I just think Dave Meltzer's a little jealous, but
I quit listening to him a long time ago.
But from NXT Heatwave,
boy.
we can go into the regular episode of NXT.
Yes.
I believe in Joe Hendry. I don't know what it is, man. It might just be the catchy song, but that man he's got the it factor.
Yeah.
He's got that it factor. And now that he's going to be on NXT programming probably a little bit more now, and probably honestly eventually sign with WWE, he's just got that charisma, man.
I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes!
Cause he loves London and Paris, Scotland and Canada and Mexico.
Oh, I believe
in Joe Hendry. Yes, believe in him.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
YRW believes in you, Joe Hendry.
Yes. Oh man.
That's
I was going to go over this in my rant tonight, but you just segued me big time. I don't care how campy it is. I don't care how much certain people hate it. This is the greatest and funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Save some for your rant. I don't want you to go too much, but I just had to say that, man. I said it last week. I'll say it again. We believe in Joe Hendry.
Amen. He appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Oh God.
Oh, good shit. Good shit.
His Heyman, he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
For those of you listening on podcast platform, Brian and I are doing the Joe Hendry face.
Oh, we are.
We are trying to be Joe Hendry, and we're not.
I don't want him to go away. Like,
No.
Please have him on every week.
Oh God, it's just. I mean, how could you not just get into it and just feel so good singing that song?
Yes, it's the greatest thing on the planet. I can't help it.
And speaking of things that really aren't the greatest things on the planet, our last segment is going to be about the Money in the Bank botches.
Woo!
And there were quite a few. Most notably, I will say, was, and I feel like WWE kind of doomed him with the nickname, but the infamous Tongaloa is very infamous after Money in the Bank.
Yes.
After the failed double pump. And ended up punching Tama Tonga.
His first one absolutely hit somebody in the asshole, and then
it hit Kevin Owens' asshole. And then he went up and punched Tama Tonga right in the head.
He's like, "Here's your paint."
And his head essentially probably split Kevin Owens' nutsack in two.
Yeah.
And then he got hit and literally hit his head on the announce table. Like, bro, what are you doing?
Has anybody checked on Kevin Owens?
Oh my God. It was so bad. And then the Zoe Stark one, where she tried to do that flipping corkscrew and hit her head on the ladder. That one made me cringe.
It was nasty.
Like, oh, God. And then she went on to take that even nastier bump. I was like, oh.
Yeah, she did. But man, she sold it so well.
Yeah, she
sold it so well.
Was there any other ones that you noticed? Because I got one more.
The pin at the end of the Priest and Seth Rollins match.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
But even also in that match, I don't know if you caught it, but when Rollins went to go give Priest the stomp, he like slipped in midair and did like a diving one where like his heel connected with the back of Priest's head, and it wasn't like a full on stomp. It was kind of like a flying kick to the head. It's just, I don't know if someone sprayed some fumes and people were getting high off some gas, or the ring was extra sweaty and they didn't change the canvas. I don't know what happened, but something was in the air that night.
Yeah, it was, but there was a lot of hype, and I really enjoyed the hype of Money in the Bank, and just the fact that, like you said last week, Tommy, it's one of your favorite pay-per-views of the year. I just love ladder matches, man. I mean, it's as from a wrestling fan point of view, I just love ladder matches. And it just makes things so much more fun. It makes things more daring and dangerous, and you're just like, these guys are going to work the hell out of this match.
Yeah. Before we get to our rants, we'll give you guys a quick preview of SmackDown that's just about to come on.
I can't wait to show this photograph.
Oh, the Queen, the Hall Pass is back to destroy Michin.
Which we have to admit, though, Michin has done good since she's changed her persona, which basically all she done is showing her boobs now, and it's a little refreshing to see her change up her character a little bit. I like the aggression that she's producing when she's in the ring now, but there's no way she's going to beat the Queen. There's no way.
Not even close. And honestly, I don't really think Bayley stands a chance. But
no.
That'll be a good match. And then we got the Bloodline. What is next for the Bloodline? led by Solo Sikoa, the so-called tribal chief. I'll call him the faux tribal chief.
Roman's going to be pissed he's got that necklace, man.
Oh, it's over. If you thought that Super Cena was bad, think of Super Saiyan Roman Reigns.
Absolutely.
God mode ain't even going to be close to what Roman is when he sees that. And honestly, in that photo, I would rather have Jacob as a tribal chief. But anyway,
yeah, I would too.
Finally going to get Tiffy in the bank.
We're going to get Tiffy in the bank. You better believe it. We've got Tiffy time tonight, which is always fun. Toodles, and which the segment of Money in the Bank with her and Trish Stratus cracked me up.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, they're two. I want to say they came from pretty similar backgrounds. Like I'm pretty sure Tiffy was a model ish. Trish was a model before she came in. There's some parallels there. They both like to show their tits. I mean,
it's great for the kids, Tommy. It's great for the kids.
Yes. Our next match, we have a rematch for the WWE Tag Team titles.
Yes, we do.
A-Town Down Under and the new Tag Team Champs DIY. Man, it's really good seeing those belts on them.
It is. It is. They deserve it. You deserve it.
And then tell me why. Why I have to waste time watching this shit.
I didn't even load the graphic because it's so stupid.
Good. Who wants to see Legado del Fantasma's Humberto and Angel face Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin?
Filler match.
Blech. That's what
I'm glad to see Baron Corbin back, and I hope we get the Lone Wolf back eventually. But you're tag teaming with Apollo Crews, which hasn't been relevant since NXT, and this is going to be one of those matches where when I'm watching SmackDown, I'm going to go take a bathroom break.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean,
but, possibly not a bad SmackDown. I'm sure we'll hear from Cody. I'm sure we'll hear from Bloodline. And that's great. But at the end of the day, Raw is killing SmackDown hands down.
Yeah. Yep. And just wait. Once Roman comes back, I think the scales will even out a little bit.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just, he's such a huge void. And like he said, you're basically going to miss me when I'm gone.
Yeah.
And the moment he was gone, thank you, Roman.
Yes.
So it's just ironic. The man you were hating for 4 years, you now love the second he's gone. Because you didn't know how much you loved.
I acknowledge my tribal chief.
I acknowledge Roman Reigns.
Yes.
God mode himself. The 1,000 days plus as undisputed champion. The ultimate needle mover. The conqueror of all conquerors. Roman Reigns.
Yes.
But Brian, your rant. Back to Joe.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in him.
London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada.
I can't say it enough. Gimmick-wise, it could be the stupidest thing on the planet, but I love Joe Hendry. I cannot help it. It has hit me at the right time. It is the greatest thing to hit NXT in a very long time. And thank you, Shawn Michaels, for allowing TNA performers to show up at NXT. And Joe Hendry is going to be a star, an absolute star. hands down.
He appears,
You just can't quit playing it.
believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I gotta stop doing that.
But one other piece of my rant is that the WWE product is better than it has been in years. I think that once everybody gets healthy, we're going to start seeing, like you said, SmackDown to even out. Roman gets back. We will start seeing this bloodline storyline continue, which, again, we said earlier in the broadcast is the reason I feel that Jey Uso did not win the Money in the Bank, is because they've got to use him for this bloodline storyline. So that's my rant. I've got a quick rant. So Joe Hendry and the state of WWE is good.
I mean, if we just want to make it simple, I could rant about Joe Hendry too. But I mean, I just
Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. They say,
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! I gotta send you some of the rabbit hole videos that I found of Joe Hendry remixing other songs. But
Oh my God.
I'll
Yeah.
do that at a later date. But my rant is on WWE's newest signing, former New Japan Strong Women's Champion,
Yes.
Stephanie Vaquer.
Vaquer.
I was very, very surprised when I heard rumors that Shawn Michaels was going to sign her to NXT. Because it came, honestly, to me out of nowhere. Because, you know, she wrestled in AEW, wrestled at Forbidden Door, lost to Mercedes, who gives a rip. And then she kind of was just, you know, gone, not really mentioned. And then now she's all of a sudden signing with WWE. I'm like, well, thanks AEW for putting her out there so we can see.
But AEW's, when she was at Forbidden Door, everybody's like, who? Who is this? Who what? And now everybody is like, I know who she is. She's such a great wrestler and all that. So it's why it pays to watch all wrestling.
Correct. Which is why we try to cover a lot of different organizations, because people flip and they flop nowadays between companies, and it's hard to keep track sometimes. But this woman, I did some research. She's been wrestling for 15 years. She started wrestling at 16, but she's only 31. She's in the prime of her career right now. And I want to say she's going to be probably one of the first big Chilean wrestlers that WWE's probably had ever. And it's going to be a huge infusion of talent to the women's division in WWE.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest since Jade Cargill came in last year. So I'm excited to see what she'll do at NXT. Obviously, I think Roxanne Perez will be kind of her big target, because Roxanne's just rocking the women's right now.
So good.
And, I mean, who knows? Stephanie might be the woman to dethrone her, and at some point, because I think Roxanne will be drafted next year.
Oh, no question.
I mean, I honestly think she could be a first round pick like Braun Breaker. I think it's without question how talented she is. And, you know, with Charlotte Flair coming back maybe at some point this year, maybe. It seems like she's just been forever coming back and whatever. Yeah. Alexa Bliss, whenever she comes back, like the women's division is going to be rocking. There is no shortage of talent, and Stephanie Vaquer is a huge signing. So
Agreed. Well, I hate to go, but that wraps us up for this week of Yankee Rebel Wrestlecast.
Man,
we hate to leave you guys.
I know. I could talk about this forever, but SmackDown's on, and I really want to watch that too.
So, guys, again, a great episode. We have figured out that we believe in Joe Hendry this episode, and we will continue to believe in Joe Hendry.
I believed in him last week. I want that on
Yeah,
the record.
absolutely. And so we will be back next week to talk more Raw, SmackDown, TNA, AEW, and we'll be back with another fun show. And we're just happy to be here with you guys. Make sure that if you are listening to us on podcast, you're subscribing and following us on wherever you get your podcast. And also at
Check us
the
out
end of
on
the show,
Patreon. Check us
yes,
out
our
on
Patreon. We have our link tree will be as we sign off. Make sure that you are checking out our link tree and subscribing to our Patreon, subscribing to all of our fun stuff. So,
Bye,
but
guys.
we'll see you guys later.
Bye,
That was
guys.
Firefly Funhouse. Great job. See you guys next week.